if you walk into an elevator, would you rather be in an elevator with a wild bear or a random man?
Okay, I would choose a man.
The man's gonna be in the elevator anyways. You're not gonna find a bear in an elevator.
I didn't think it was going to be happening anyways. I asked you, you have a choice. You either get in the elevator with a bear, a wild bear, or a man, which you're actually looking at as wild, right? You're just as wild as the bear in this case, right? What do you choose in the elevator scenario?
So the man's wild.
Well,
You just said the bear is just as wild as the man.
You guys are treating men as wild in the bear-man hypothetical. So I agree, men are dangerous, bears are dangerous. So now I'm just changing the environment and seeing what you guys say. If you guys could just kindly engage with the hypothetical, okay?
Because it's in such close proximity,
Okay.
in that instance, I would choose a man. Yeah.
A man.
Yeah.
Okay. But the man could just as well violate you, right?
I know.
For the women who chose the bear, isn't it the case that trapped in an elevator, that's a perfect time to violate
I would
you?
still choose the bear. I never change my answer.
You get in the elevator with a bear instead of a random man.
The bear.
Cool. Okay, cool. So
Every time a man actually steps into an elevator,
if it's the case, let's just grant it that men are dangerous. Let's just grant it that you have every reason to be fearful of men, random, collective, individual at that level, okay? Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Do any one of you ladies oppose the patriarchy? Like find that you hold a position that we should take it down?
What?
The reason I'm connecting these is if it's the case
Is that because men are leaders in the patriarchy?
Hold on a second. If it's the case that you take the bear over the man, you're admitting that men are dominant, violent, aggressive, and scary, basically. That you should watch out. That you should avoid them, basically. If that's the case, aren't you conceding that reality, descriptively, is dominated by men?
I mean, would you argue otherwise?
No, I wouldn't argue otherwise.
I wouldn't
I'm just
either.
on your concession that if it's the case that reality, descriptively, is dominated by men, such that you would even choose the bear over the man, how could you possibly, any one of you, take a position of feminism or questioning the patriarchy if in fact you're so afraid of men that you would choose a wild beast who's basically designed to eat your body parts one by one?
No. They're not designed to eat humans.
I will say that I'm giving my answer based on like the worst circumstances, meaning like if I'm like in the wild and then there's like a strange, dangerous man, that's what I'm comparing in my mind. If I would encounter myself with a stranger, a man, dangerous and aggressive versus a wild bear, then I'd weigh my options more the bear because I would just stay still.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you encountered a man who you thought was aggressive and was going to harm you, and you asked another question, would you choose a bear or another additional man who was good?
Then I would choose the good man. If you're telling me if I have to choose a wild bear versus a good man, hands down, like a good man.
Well, that's where it all breaks down, because if I simply change the location of the hypothetical to an elevator, suddenly everyone on the panel chooses, except for Pink here, because she's delusional, chooses the man. Why? Because it's more likely the case that you take elevators every day in your ordinary life. That's an opportunity for every male that you ever thought was horrible to violate you on the elevator. Yet you would still choose a bear in the instance where the hypothetical and the probability is very unlikely that a random man would attack you in an elevator. You would still choose the bear. Only one of you chose the bear.
Not as unlikely as the bear being in the elevator.
Now I'm wondering what's the difference between in the woods bear man versus in the elevator bear man?
Repeat it.
What's the difference between bear in the woods such that you choose the bear, but you choose the man in the elevator?
What's the difference between the bear in the woods versus the man in the elevator?
What's the difference between the two hypotheticals? What's the threshold breaker? What's the symmetry breaker between choosing the bear? It doesn't apply to you because you fucking chose the bear in the elevator. No one else on the panel chose the bear in the elevator, but they chose the man. So for anyone who chose the man in the hypothetical, who chose the bear in the hypothetical in the woods over the man, and you chose the man over the bear in the elevator, what's the difference? Why did that change your answer?
Are you talking to me?
Who?
Okay, I don't know who you're talking to.
No, I'm not talking to Pink because you chose bear for both. I'm talking to anybody who chose bear in the woods but chose a man in the elevator. Who chose that? Did anyone choose that on the panel? You don't even remember. You guys don't even fucking remember. What you
All right,
I wasn't listening.
They
fucking like talking to computers, dude.
checked out.
Yeah.
But question, so do you guys think, and final thing on the bear thing, because of women, and I acknowledge that women have had, maybe majority of women, all women even, have had bad experiences with men. Don't dispute it at all. There are bad men out there. Men do bad things. Totally grant it. But do you think, though, it's fair for women, based off of their bad experiences with men, what they've heard from other women, whatever it is, what society is telling them, do you think it's fair that they pick bear over man because of their own experiences or the experiences of other women?
I would argue that it's fair because they're not actively like impeding men from any type of thing. They're just changing their own behavior to protect themselves against like having the same experience again. So it's not like it's a matter of sexism against men in which they can't get jobs or interact, in which way they're just choosing to take a different path.
Okay, well, let's do a little thought experiment then. Let me ask this. Let's say there's a white person who either themselves or has known people who have been assaulted by a black person. They also see news stories and belong to online groups, and their TikTok algorithm feeds them stories about black on white crime. Because of their safety concerns, they're scared of black people. They believe all black people have the capacity for violence or assault of some kind, et cetera, et cetera. Would you say that this is a racist position to hold?
It's an ignorant one, yeah.
Then surely it must be, if it's racist, surely the position, and should we fight against racism?
We should always fight against racism.
Racism bad? Okay,
Yes.
sexism bad? So why are we doing all this coping for women as it relates to their sexism towards men?
So how a woman feels about her safety is just sexist to you, right? How we've been raised in the world and how we view safety.
I think if you're painting with a broad
like you
brush
are.
that you would rather be in the forest with a wild animal than with a random man,
And I have
knowing
been
that the
many
majority
times.
knowing that the majority of men are good men who would never lay a finger
So
on
are bears.
Huh?
Majority of bears are good too.
you. Wait, what?
just saying.
Bears are good? That doesn't even, hold on.
Bears are good.
Bears just have instinct.
Not to kill people. A bear wasn't born thinking they're going to kill people. They're thinking they're going to kill fish.
How would that relate to my
Or
argument?
eat berries.
So how about you contend with the actual argument here? So again, if I'm saying it's racist though, but I'm also saying it would be racist to pick bear over black person. I think that would be racist. But you guys won't concede that it's sexist to pick bear. Just say you're sexist. Okay, I mean, or you just have a double standard.
It's not true.
How is it not true?
It's just not.
This is cognitive dissonance exhibit A. So if it is, I'm just literally using your same logic. If a white person has fears over their safety, just like you said when it comes to women over their safety. And let's see, I mean, can a woman be irrational? Can a white person be irrational? Could this fear be irrational? Perhaps. It must, if it is sexist, it surely then too must, or excuse me, if it is racist, it surely must then too be sexist. Do you disagree?
I don't believe that it's sexist now.
So you don't, okay, so hold on. Is it racist, the picking the bear over the black person?
I'm not answering it.
You're not answering it because you know the answer reveals.
No, it's just, it's not right. It's not, I'm not doing that. It's just below.
So just to be clear, it's okay to make this analysis of men, but when it comes to race, not okay.
I'm not going to touch that topic now.
I'm not asking you to
because I'm not racist.
I'm sure, no, but I'm sure you would agree, like, would you pick?
You're saying a person and you're not saying a man. You're saying a person, a black person.
Right.
That's why I don't know who it is.
I love your justification of sexism towards men. This is great. This is wonderful. So me personally, if I was given the option between a black person and a bear, I'm picking the black person. I'd prefer to be, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman,
right, because
don't care.
You're a man. You've never had to feel the way a woman feels about being alone with a man she doesn't know.
I've been the victim of a violent crime, so I know, yeah, I'm fine making this determination. Even if I wasn't the victim of a violent crime,
Okay, we're not talking about violent crime, we're talking about abuse in this case.
Yeah, men can also be victims of SA.
Right. So...
Wait, have you ever are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm pro-choice.
So a woman who's never had an abortion, can she have a position on abortion?
A woman who's never had one?
A woman who's never been pregnant, never had an abortion, is she allowed to have an opinion on abortion?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm a man, I'm allowed to have an opinion on something.
Right,
regardless
and so
of my
am
gender.
I.
Huh?
And I'm a woman. We're all allowed to have opinions, period, on anything.
Yeah, but you just tried to dismiss my opinion because I'm a man.
In what way?
The way you just did. You said, well, you don't know how it is to be, and then you goalpost shifted. And I was like, I've actually been victim of a violent crime before. But then, oh, well, let's talk about SA. Okay, well, so? Just because, like, so in order to have a position or opinion on something, you must have gone through said dilemma. Like, I think starving children in Africa, that's a bad thing. I think that's
Helps
bad.
when you've been through it, yeah.
I mean, I've been hungry, but I haven't been a starving child in Africa. I think starving children in Africa is a bad thing. Am I not allowed to think that?
Most women in this country and almost in the world have had that happen to them. So, some form of SA.
Sure, I'll go. I mean, there's disputes as to the incidence rate of that crime. I'll go ahead and grant it for the sake of the conversation. So, what does that have to do with the argument at hand?
That every woman I've talked to has been through that, including myself.
You know what? Here, I'll even grant 100. Every single woman has been brutally ganged. What does that have to do with the argument at hand? Bad thing happened to woman. Okay, cool. I get it. What does that have to do with the argument at hand?